ताडगे सर नाही जॉईन होतो ना.
विसरले असतील ते अजून.
येतील येतील.
बघा दातार साहेब, आयर साहेब, गीते साहेब, मी आहे, ताडगे साहेब झाले तर त्यांना आपण को-होस्ट करूया. हा,
येस येस येस.
आभार जे आहे ते आपले ताडगे साहेब हे करतील. क्वेश्चन आन्सर जे आहे ते ताडगे साहेब आणि आयर निलकांत आयर दोघं मिळून जॉईन हे करा. काही अडचण आली नंतर कोणी काही झालं तर मी आहेच.
मी पण आहे.
बरं, मी आता युट्यूबचे लिंक तयार करू.
गीते साहेब, तुमच्या बॅकग्राऊंड मधनं वारा खूप येतोय.
येस, मी ऑडिओ ऑफ करतोय.
हा, येस येस, थँक्यू. तुमचं कॅमेराचं ओरिएंटेशन परत हल्लं गायधनी साहेब.
एक मिनिट.
अरे बघू नये, मग विचार करू की तिथे रस्त्याचं वगैरे काय आहे ते. काय रे, आवाज बंद झाला. बंद होतंय का माझं?
येतोय का आवाज?
एक 2 मिनिटं थांबा, मी हे करतो युट्यूबचं.
तुम्ही तरी काढक्या घ्या त्या हातात.
सगळ्यांचे ऑडिओ म्यूट करा प्लीज.
खाली तो
ज्यांनी ऑडिओ चालू केलाय त्यांनी ऑडिओ म्यूट करा प्लीज.
खाली हे ना गुळाचं.
सर्व वकील बंधूंनी ऑडिओ म्यूट करावा प्लीज.
याला बंद केला सर, आता कोणाचा आवाज नाही येणार. हॅलो.
हो बरोबर, ठीक आहे.
तर आपण हॅलो
हा बोला.
आवाज येतोय ना सर्वांचा?
हो येतो येतो.
ताडगे साहेब नाही झालं. काय करूया आपण? सुरू करूयात की थांबूया 5 मिनिटं?
कसं तुम्ही सांगा, कारण लोक आपले जॉईन होत आहेत, तर एक
हो.
2-5 मिनिटं थांबलेलं बरं मला वाटतं.
हो चालेल ना. कोर्ट वर्किंग आज तर कोर्ट पण नाहीये ना, तरी मग कसं काय?
हा थोडं
मोस्ट ऑफ द पीपल जॉइन ऑन YouTube.
Mr. Datar, 5 minutes more and we will start.
नो प्रॉब्लेम.
Okay, thank you.
हॅलो.
बोला काय त्यांनी साहेब.
म्हटलं व्हिडिओ बंद होता ना तुमचा म्हणून.
नाही आय एम ऑनलाईन. मी आहे इथेच. ताडगे साहेब आले. करूया चालू आपण.
चालेल करू.
कारण माझ्याकडे लोक युट्यूब वरती पण इकडे होत असतील.
ओके. सरांचं चालू आहे.
हो ते करतील मग. स्पीकर तर चालू आहे.
इको यायला लागला का परत?
नाही, ओके.
दातार सर करूया सुरू?
हो, सुरू करूया. रेडी.
इको येतोय का तिकडे आवाज? का माझाच येतोय?
नाही नाही, कोणालाच येत.
I am ready, Neelkant, wherever you are.
Yes.
Yeah, good. The other person, the office bearer, Mr. Targe, has also joined in. So Mr. Gaidani is just making him the co-host, I think.
I think we'll have to wait for 2
Log out
minutes.
झाले का? आहे. ताळगे साहेबांना को होस्ट करा ना.
हॅलो. सर, 1-2 मिनिटं फक्त थांबूयात. एक युट्यूबचं लाईव्ह करतो 1 सेकंड.
Gaidin sir, I think we can start off.
सर झूम प्रिपेअर आपला युट्यूब प्रिपेरेशन
Okay.
इट्स स्ट्रीमिंग.
Okay.
काय सर एकदा करून बघू. टेक्निकल एरर आहे आता युट्यूबला. अपलोड करता येईल आपल्याला, रेकॉर्डिंग आहे, राहील. चालू चालू करूया का? आवाज नाही येते. हॅलो हॅलो.
हाँ बोला बोला.
हा म्हटलं युट्यूब स्ट्रीमिंगला प्रॉब्लेम येतोय, ते कंटिन्यू नाही होते, तर आपण
नाही,
अपलोड करूया नंतर.
रेकॉर्ड मीटिंग हो रेकॉर्ड करा आणि मग नंतर
चालेल ना?
किंवा मध्यंतरी आता दुसरा काय पर्याय मग इट इज
आता आपण मी चालू ट्राय करेल मध्ये मध्ये.
बघा तुम्हाला कसं योग्य वाटतं.
अचानक आलेला प्रॉब्लेम येतो.
आपण रेकॉर्डिंग नंतर लोड करूया मला वाटतं.
चालेल ना?
हो चालेल चालेल. काय करणार मग आता, कारण का आपले बरेचसे लोक युट्यूब वरती असतात.
हो ना हो ना.
ऋषिकेश
म्हणूनच आपण 5 मिनिटं लेट झाला तरी चालतो बघतोय.
हा.
हॅलो मी दरम्यानच्या काळात ते चालू करण्याचा प्रयत्न करेल.
बर.
Namaskar. Good evening, all. I, Advocate Sharad Gaidani, Joint Secretary Nashik Bar Association, welcomes you all on behalf of Nashik Bar Association. Even in this period of lockdown, Nashik Bar Association has decided to utilize this time productively and took initiative to arrange the webinars on different legal topics, which would be beneficial for all advocates. Till date, Nashik Bar Association has arranged 36 webinars on different legal topics of different dignitaries. Today, we have one such dignitary, Mr. Hrishikesh Datar, CEO of Vakil Search. Now, I am handing over the virtual platform to Mr. Nilkanji Iyer, who is a coordinator, to introduce our today's special guest lecturer Hrishikesh Datar, sir. Nilkanji Iyer, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Gaidani. Good noon, everyone. It is a pleasure to be on this webinar show again, which is organized so excellently by Nashik Bar Association. And today's title for today's topic for discussion is Digitization as the first step towards artificial intelligence in the judiciary. Our speaker today is Mr. Hrishikesh Datar. Before that, I welcome all the office bearers, namely President Shri Nitin Thakreji, former chairman and members of the Bar Council of Mumbai and Goa, Shri Jayan Jayabhaviji and Shri Avinash Bhideji. I also welcome all brothers and sister lawyers from Nashik and Maharashtra, and also law students for this session. As you know, after the spread of the COVID-19, both individuals and institutions today have begun to behave differently. We see distancing is the new norm, is the new rule. We see that the Prime Minister is running the government online. He's talking to the cabinet online. He's talking to the officers online. He's interacting with the chief ministers via video conferencing and various other technical means to run the show. The Supreme Court, the High Courts, as well as the lower courts have also started hearing cases online. If we look at the background, on March 30th, the Kerala High Court was the first to set the ball rolling in case of some urgent matters, where it took up hearing of the cases online. It was the first of its kind initially, where we also got to see some live streaming of the court proceedings. Now, amidst the pandemic, running of the institutions of justice somewhat today is like riding an old horse with a new set of not one, but a double set of reins. That is the online and the offline model. Every lawyer, including us, is excited to see the show sitting on the fence, but has mixed feelings to ride the old horse with the new set of double reins. The COVID-19 crisis has gripped the whole world, no doubt. It has also shocked the litigants, the lawyers, the judges, and the administrators of justice all over. But I feel the coronavirus has the potential to remodel or restructure the entire judicial system that we have in place now. This crisis can prove to be an excellent opportunity if we look at it from that angle. Now, digitalization of the courts is not merely, e-courts and modernization and scanning of papers and this and that and blah, blah. The point is its democratization. Without internet connectivity, or rather, sorry, with internet connectivity, a person feels connected, comfortable, at ease, and equal at par with the others, with access to the same basic platforms, the same information, the same resources, the same online access. But having said this, we also have to take into consideration the significant differences that exist in the physical world. To put it simply, we can say that digital technology offers us a very sweet form of its formal equality online. It is fascinating nowadays to see a litigant from Nashik employing services of his local lawyer from Nashik with a senior counsel from Mumbai, as well as some other senior counsel from Delhi arguing a case or his matter, representing his matter in the Supreme Court. The future is here to stay. We all know that the legal profession is hierarchical in its own sweet way. Many big lawyers are absolutely beyond the reach of the common man. The judges are already sitting on the high pedestals. as is physically visible in the courtrooms. Access to justice is a sweet dream for the common man. Not everyone is Mr. Nambi Narayanan. In an open online court system, we see that everyone from the litigant to the lawyer to the witness to the judge to the opponents, everyone is confined in their sweet, tiny rectangular space. We can also see it on Zoom right now. This actually is reflecting a new sense of digital equality. Maybe another way of looking at Article 14 of the Constitution of India. In a way, the judiciary has been taking its own sweet baby steps as expressed in the judgment of Meters and Instruments Private Limited versus Kanchan Mehta in 2017, which had indicated then that certain category of cases can be partly or entirely conducted online. Paperless methods of conducting cases is also one way of reducing the burden on the environment, as well as reducing overcrowding in the courts, as well as utilization of available resources. Digitalization can act as an effective remedy for all, also for law delays. Thanks to the computerization of courts, which started way back in 1990, we now have the FIR in a local police station to the judgment of the Supreme Court, everything online. We have the launchpad ready. We need to make that jump now. I'm glad to welcome Mr. Datar. Mr. Hrishikesh Datar, it is also a pleasure to introduce you. Mr. Hrishikesh Datar is the founder and the CEO of wakilsearch.com. Wakilsearch.com is India's largest and amongst Asia's fastest growing legal technology platform. It is exciting to see you after law school here, and it is glad to know that you are ahead of the times and are working in a space where a few have ventured in India. Mr. Datar's platform helps us to cope up with legal issues by providing us a host of solutions to the day-to-day problems that we as lawyers or as common men feel. During his student years at the National Law School of India, University, Bangalore, Mr. Datar had the opportunity to work firsthand with an interesting cross-section of lawyers, ranging from divorce lawyers to criminal lawyers, from lawyers in the lower courts to working with advocate generals in the various high courts, as well as the office of the Additional Solicitor General, late Senior Advocate Sri Arun Jaitley ji in the Supreme Court. After graduating, he founded wakilsearch.com with the vision of making legal concerns simple for millions of Indian citizens and businesses all around. Through a relentless focus of customer satisfaction, wakilsearch.com today has the largest client base of more than 4 lakh happy clients and partners, including the ICICI Group, the Flipkart Group, Udaan, and RBL Bank, and many to name a few. Mr. Datar has also been recognized as one of the 30 leading entrepreneurs in Asia by the reputed Forbes magazine in its 30 under 30 list in 2017. He also happens to be the son of India's most reputed tax practice lawyers, Senior Advocate Sri Arvind Datar sir. Mr. Hrishikesh Datar, please.
Thank you, Neelkant, for a very, very generous introduction. मी मराठीत बोलण्याचा प्रयत्न केला, पण my Marathi is very weak. So I will do most of my presentation in English. मध्ये मध्ये मराठी. Sorry?
Just a small interrupt. There is just a small interruption. I think there's a technical lag.
Technical lag. Can you hear me now? Is it better?
Yes.
Yeah, good.
Okay. नाही मी असं म्हणत होतो की मी मराठीचे शब्द वापरायचा प्रयत्न करीन पण माय मेन प्रेझेंटेशन विल बी इन इंग्लिश because my Marathi is very. My New Year resolution this year, one of the top items was improve Marathi skills. But so, despite being Marathi by birth, my Marathi is not very strong. So, I'll try to speak English. The objective of today's discussion will be to talk more about artificial intelligence, machine learning, digitization, and as a nation, as a judiciary, where are we heading, and how do we get there faster? So, as Neelkant and the honorable office members of the Nashik Bar Association were mentioning, we are getting into a digital age where digital is not an option. Digital is the norm. Because as we are noticing with the COVID crisis, we are one of the rising superpowers. But one virus has literally brought our entire judicial system to a grinding halt. So this is not something that we should be willing to tolerate. Right? Why are we allowing this to happen? It's an important Chinese, in fact, maxim that may you be cursed to live in interesting times. This is a very interesting time. And this is what I would say, it's a game-changing time. The world is never going to be the same ever again. And one of the major things that's going to happen is that we are going to be going towards a more connected, more digitally connected world. So I will share my screen and maybe take about 15-20 minutes. Tachanantar, any questions which you have, please feel free to ask. In fact, in the middle also, if you want to interrupt me, please interrupt and ask questions. That's not a problem. You can leave a chat and Neelkant can interrupt me and you can ask the question. So let it be as interactive as possible. Some of the terms which I'm using may be a little new, so I'll explain it. If you have any doubts, again, just drop a question. Neelkant can interrupt me and you can ask the question. So with that in mind, let me get started. I'm just sharing my screen. I hope everybody can see my screen. Okay, so then I will proceed now. So digitization is the first step towards artificial intelligence. So what is artificial intelligence? If you had to ask, artificial intelligence basically means providing a computer with enough data so that the computer starts taking certain decisions on its own. Right? So why is this important in the context of the Indian judicial system? Where does digitization come in? So now let us first look at where the world has gone to. Right? So where, as I said earlier, we are a rising superpower. We are a country which aspires to be number one or number two, along with China in the 21st century. So where is the world right now, and where are we with regard to the global state of the art? So I will just show you some examples. The top three in terms of digitization you would think, okay, United Kingdom, Great Britain would be number one. It is not the case. In fact, the country which has got the highest level of digitization is Estonia. It's a small country in Europe which has actually built the world's best digital ecosystem. 99% of all the public services in Estonia are completely paperless. You cannot even imagine. Like right down to the smallest ration card, right up to filing an appeal before the highest court in Estonia, it's completely paperless. So they have gone towards something called Tiger Leap, where they want to bring the entire country into a digital ecosystem and a digital network. What happens then is everything becomes rapid. So for example, property documentation, there is no paper for property documentation. There is only something called blockchain. So if I am buying a property from Neelkant or from Sharadji, all I need to do is at the end of the property blockchain, a blockchain is basically just one line of algorithm, 11001101. At the end of that line, I simply add one more line of text. With that, my property transfer is done. That is the level to which Estonia has already come. So property documentation, title scrutiny, property verification is something that will happen instantly. Right? So that is where the world is heading. Why do we need to know this? Because as legal professionals, unless we are keeping up to date with where the industry is heading, we are not going to be able to grow and scale with the times. So that's Estonia. On South Korea, which is the other country which I want to talk about, they started digitization of courts in 1970s. So they have already been doing it for half a century before us. Right? So half a century is a long time, but we have some of the best digital minds in this country. So can we catch up? Yes, we can catch up. But for that, we need to start right now. We have no time to waste. COVID-19 has, fortunately or unfortunately, taught us that unless we are moving at great speed, we are going to be left behind. So digitization in South Korea, I've been to South Korea as a matter of fact, and it is amazing the level of internet penetration and the level of digitization which that country has achieved. And even now, paperless filing is the norm. It's not the exception, it is the rule. And what is the advantage? Why is it relevant to us as lawyers? I'm assuming most of us are lawyers. Why is it relevant to us? One of the judges in Korea, his name is Ho Shin Won. He was able to adjudicate over 3,000 matters in a year. Assuming 200 working days, it's 15 final disposals in per day on average. How was they able to do that? They were able to do that because a lot of the background work is being done by technology. So judges are not investing time in doing the manual labor, grunt work. All the applications are filed through simple forms. Everything is, a lot of the processing is done through artificial intelligence, and lawyers and judges are only spending time on important matters. So if an average judge in India was able to dispose of 15 matters a day, judicial pendency would get eliminated in India. It's mathematical, right? So we keep talking about we need to hire so many more judges, we need to build so many more courtrooms. With technology, you don't need to do that. By implementing technology which already exists, we can actually eliminate delays in the judicial system within a period of 5 to 10 years in India. And that's also not ambitious. That's a very realistic, very conservative approach which I am taking. United States has started behind South Korea, but United States is now making a lot of investment in blockchain. A lot of investment in this space is now being made in the States. And they are going towards one-click filings. Now, as lawyers, we all know how difficult it is or how time-consuming it is to file. And in fact, filing takes up maybe 30-40% of our time as practicing professionals. These countries are moving towards one-click filing. So imagine the amount of time we would all have to focus on the actual work of research if we did not have to spend time on filing. So these are some of the best practices which are happening across the world, and we need to be aware of that. If we are trying to compete, we should not compete within ourselves. We should compete with the best in the world. So this is the best in the world. This is the state of the art, so to speak. So coming now to what the benefits to India will be from digital transformation. What are the few key benefits? One is we have, despite having one of the largest legal systems in the world, in the judiciary particularly, we have a crippling manpower shortage. So the judge to citizen ratio is in fact one of the lowest in the world. And as a result of which, unfortunately, everybody criticizes our system. But that criticism is because we have so much of a shortage in terms of the manpower. So we have some of the longest pendency in the world. In India, it takes to go from the lowest court to the highest court, it takes on an average between 16 to 22 years, right? That is unfortunate, a very unfortunate statistic. We need to really fight this because 22 years, today, one generation is 6 years. When my grandfather, moved to Chennai in 1960, one generation was 24 years. Now one generation is 6 years. So 22 years is 4 generations, right? So it takes 4 generations for a case to be handled. Now this is unacceptable. Now we as citizens of India, we should demand that this gets faster. We cannot accept and tolerate this. This has gone to an unacceptable level. And technology can really help in this transformation. So it can increase the productivity of law officers, of all of us as lawyers and judges, by anywhere between 2 to 300%. Loss and damage to documents. The number of times where matters have to be adjourned because the documents are lost, or documents are unavailable or damaged, is just shocking. This is again something which can be completely eliminated. And now I think all of us are living in the COVID-19 era. It's called the COVIDian era. And in the COVID-19 era, we are seeing that virtually litigation has come to a grinding halt, except in some cases, some urgent matters are being held. But actual day-to-day litigation has come to a grinding halt. Again, this making the system disaster-proof is another very important objective. Now, for artificial intelligence, for a digitized environment, what is the first prerequisite? The first prerequisite is digitization. Now, digitization has to be done at the level of the courts. It has to be done at the level of the lawyers. It has to be done at the level of the clients. So at all levels, digitization is something that we absolutely need to pursue. As a company, we do this, but I will not talk about it right now. If any of you want to talk about it with me, you can always reach out to me on LinkedIn, or you can reach out to me on email, and I'll be happy to answer your questions or offer any kind of help and support. That's absolutely fine. Today, I want to just focus on technology and where we need to take the industry and how all of us need to come together to make it happen. So the first step for a digital future is digitization. So all records going digital scanning and OCR. OCR basically means optical character recognition. Or if I take a scanned document, for example, if I were to scan this piece of paper, you can see this piece of paper. If I were to scan it, I would not be able to use the scan because the text is not searchable. For the text to be searchable, I need to use something called optical character recognition. It's called OCR. So when you scan, you need to convert it to OCR format documentation. Once you convert it to OCR format documentation, all your files will be continuously searchable. And that way, you can eliminate all paper in filing. I was delighted when I was told that the Nashik Bar Association, in fact, Nashik, is in fact one of the first in Maharashtra to start a digitization initiative. From the judiciary and even the advocates of Nashik are making a transformation to digital. I have always noticed in Maharashtra, personally I'm from Pune, actually a small village outside Pune, but I've always noticed in Maharashtra that Pune, Nashik and Nagpur go ahead of Bombay, which is supposedly the capital and commercial capital. But I'm glad to see that Nashik is making a major step in this direction. But digitization is the first step towards a digital future. The elimination of all paper. Then we can introduce artificial intelligence and blockchain. So what artificial intelligence can do for you and me as lawyers is, once all the documents are digitized, if a client comes to us, say for a consumer matter, by reading our old filings, the software or the artificial intelligence tools can create arguments and it can come to us for review. So as lawyers, we don't need to spend time on drafting the entire plate. We have to only review a plate which is created by a computer. So that is a fundamental transformation. For that, all your papers need to be digitized from ground up. Blockchain will further make that better, because if you do this, if all of us, apart from high-end litigation, we also send out routine legal notices and reply notices and written statements and plaints. All of that work with blockchain, the repetitive work can be completely eliminated. So this is the advantage. I'm telling you, it's not going to be more than 5 years before it comes to all of our offices. So if we start the digitization process today, within 3 to 5 years, all of us will be using some amount of artificial intelligence to get day-to-day work done. And finally, remote presentation through video conferencing. So all of us, despite COVID being a Chinese import, we're all using a Chinese software to interact today. We are remote presentation through video conferencing has already come, but I think we will be building I'm sure India will build its own tools and infrastructure. So we don't need to depend on a foreign enemy to do video conferencing like this. So remote presentation through video conferencing and eliminating infrastructure challenges is the last part of the story. Digitization has to be done in a phased manner. So, it is always, they say an elephant takes a long time to turn, but a deer or a cheetah can turn quickly. So Mumbai may take a long time to turn, but Nashik, Pune, Nagpur, Aurangabad, relatively smaller cities should be able to move quickly, because all of you are far more flexible, far more nimble, and you may be able to make the shift towards digitization. So starting with, maybe starting with some of the relatively smaller courts or court infrastructures, and then proceeding to these giant sort of gorillas in India like Mumbai, Delhi, etc. That is how we will be making the progress. So starting with, in a phased manner, the nimble, fast deers first approaching digitization, and then it cascading upwards to Mumbai and Delhi and so on and so forth. So once digitization is successfully implemented, it can be replicated across all courts, along with optical character recognition. So this is the basis for building a truly digital India, right? So we have to think not just about today, but about 10 years, about 20 years, about 30 years. If cases continue to take 20 years to be disposed of, then we are not building a truly digital society. We are not building an honest, a democratic society. We are building an unfair society. So to build a genuinely fair society, we need to really approach digitization, not just as a fancy word, but as a need of the hour, especially in today's COVID era. So with that, I would like to, it's been about 20-25 minutes. I want to pause for a few minutes and take some questions so that I can respond and maybe answer some queries which you have. So with that, Neelkant, if there are any questions, I can start taking them.
Not exactly right now, but if you can just help explain what is, because these technical terminologies, we keep hearing them, but hearing the exact thing and the exact meaning, the applicability, if we are to look at simple explanation for blockchain, what is exactly a blockchain, how safe is it, or what is the format of working within a blockchain mechanism, or how does the system exactly work? I mean, I don't mean to interrupt you, but the thoughts come to mind for better understanding of all the brother lawyers here. I think it would be better if we can just one question.
No, I'm glad you asked the question. I also went a little too quickly. So let me step back and maybe explain what is artificial intelligence and what is blockchain. The first myth is that artificial intelligence is not already there. Right? Artificial intelligence is already there and we are already using it on a day-to-day basis. For example, all of us use Gmail today. Right? All of us use Gmail, I'm assuming. Or most of us have used Gmail. When you start typing your email reply within Gmail, you will notice that Gmail suggests what should I type next. I don't know how many of you have already noticed this. But when I start typing, for example, if Neelkant sends me an email, I respond to me. I say, hi Neelkant, it is. And then Google will suggest, a pleasure to hear from you. Right? How is Google recommending that to me? How is Google telling me that I should say it is a pleasure to hear from you? It is doing that because Google has already read my older emails. It has already analyzed what is the way in which I normally write emails. So if I start my email by saying it is a pleasure to hear from you, after 3 or 4 attempts, Google only will say, okay, Hrishikesh, this is how he writes. So hi Neelkant, it is a pleasure to hear from you, automatically gets recommended to me by Google. How is that happening? That is happening because of artificial intelligence. So artificial intelligence, very simply put, is intelligence inside a computer. What is intelligence? Intelligence basically is the ability to make a decision, right? Why are human beings different from animals? Because we can take not one, but 2 decisions. So when an animal is hungry, it will look for food. At that point, an animal cannot control its hunger. It is driven by instinct. Right now, some of you may be hungry, but may be choosing to continue to watch the webinar. Why? Because we have intelligence. We may say, okay, we are hungry now, but I will wait for half an hour and eat after the webinar is completed. Why do we do that? Because we have the ability to make a decision. That decision comes from intelligence. Artificial intelligence basically is the ability of a computer to also make decisions and suggest. So artificial intelligence cannot replace human intelligence. Artificial intelligence can only support human intelligence. It is the ability of a machine to support a human being with taking a decision. Does that clarify the question on artificial intelligence, or should I go a little deeper?
Please go
That is good enough.
in some deep.
Sorry, Targeji. Targeji had a question?
Yes. I said that you may go deeper into the artificial intelligence issue because Honorable Chief Justice of India, Honorable Sri Bobde sir, has previously clarified that though artificial intelligence is the future of this business, but judiciary cannot dispense with the physical hearing, but they will give some sort of work for this purpose. So what do you think? What could be the areas which could be used for the purpose of artificial intelligence as far as judiciary is concerned?
Correct. That's a very good question. So the quick answer is that technology keeps on improving. So today, artificial intelligence can help us with the repetitive work. For example, with matters like simple consumer matters or money recovery cases or check bounce cases, where the facts and the grounds are typically quite similar. Right? So artificial intelligence can help in terms of reading the submissions, and a computer can recommend a choice to an honorable judge. Artificial intelligence cannot and will not replace the actual task of advocacy or the task of decision making. It is like a cycle. So we can walk or we can take a cycle. A cycle does not remove the human effort, but cycle will allow you to, with the same amount of effort, to go to 2 times faster, right? So think of artificial intelligence as walking versus cycling. With artificial intelligence, it is like a cycle for the judiciary. So earlier we were walking, now we can cycle. So I think Honorable Justice Bobde ji is absolutely right. It can never replace the task which all of us have, studied and what all of us have practiced. But it can make our life much superior, much faster. That is the core thing which we need to understand. Many people are afraid of artificial intelligence. They're afraid of digitization. They think that, when we go towards digitization, our jobs are going to get taken away. Our work is going to be done by robots. Maybe me and Nilkant were not alive then. But what my father tells me is, even when the computerization came to the banks, all the bank employees went on strike, thinking that their jobs are going to go away. To the contrary, the number of bank branches, because we have ATMs everywhere, because of computerization, the number of bank branches has gone up by 17 times since computerization. The number of jobs in the banking sector has gone up by 30 times. So digitization, computerization, artificial intelligence, A, it's not a threat, it's an opportunity. B, it's never going to replace human beings, it's only going to support human beings in terms of taking decisions faster. Does that answer your question, Targeji?
Ji, thank you, Hrishikesh sir, for answering this question.
Hello.
I have the related question in respect of the same. And
Hello.
as you know, we are hearing that, first of all, I would like to thank you to mention, you have mentioned that Nashik Bar Association is making the effort. We were the pioneer in this field to introduce concept of IT library. And now further we are moving to e-convenience center as per the directions of Supreme Court of e-committee of Supreme Court. Now further, as we are hearing that we are taking up, or the computers are taking up the legal cases. They take the data, they take the brief, they analyze the situation, they draft the cases, and they are likely to argue the cases. So in this scenario of developing digitization, what do you think, whether there is a status or scope for advocacy, and what will the future of advocacy or role of advocates?
Okay, that's a very complicated question actually, because honestly, I don't really have an immediate answer. What is the future of advocacy? But I want to start by saying that I have actually spent time in your lovely city. I also had I had come to meet Jain Jaibhave sir. So it was a lovely trip, and I also had a chance to visit the Sula vineyards outside Nashik. So it was a most delightful trip, and the weather and the city, and it was extremely charming. So I miss that trip and miss that day, and I look forward to coming back. So I have no doubt that you have been a pioneer in this effort. I think I would only encourage you to continue that effort and keep the momentum. Coming back to what is the future of advocacy, I think it's difficult to tell. I think definitely the routine tasks, the routine jobs which used to be done by interns or by the junior advocates will now be increasingly done over time by levels of automation. But I don't think that's at all a cause for concern, because as the environment, as the economy progresses, we are a nation of 130 crore people, but there are only 1 crore litigants. Are we saying that 129 crore people don't have legal work? No. The reality is they don't even come to court because it takes so long. And today, if I have a legal dispute less than 50 lakh rupees, am I going to go to a lawyer? Even despite me being from a family of lawyers, having myself done law and having a law degree and I'm eligible to practice, am I going to court? The answer is no. Right? How is it that despite having 130 crore population, only 1 crore Indians actually go to court? Because the system is currently very inefficient. So digitization is going to increase the efficiency by at least 3-4 times. If a matter can be resolved within 2 years, as opposed to 22 years, I am sure that instead of 1 crore Indians approaching the court for justice, it may be 15 crore Indians approaching the courts for justice. Imagine the volume of work for lawyers in that scenario, right? If we were to have faith and confidence in our judiciary to approach the courts and have the matters resolved by courts, I think that is the real golden future of the judiciary in India for advocates, for the common man, as well as for the judicial system. So if what I look at as a future is we need to take the Scandinavian model. They have systematically designed the system where from the lowest court to the highest court, it takes 58 days. Right? Now, one can argue that they are such a small country, they have very small number of cases, that's why they're able to handle it quickly. But that's not the truth. Right? That's not at all the reason. The reason is because the system is efficient. So if we are able to resolve a matter within 58 days, do you not think that the number of cases which you have, the number of clients that Vakil Search has, would not be up by 10 times? It would definitely be. For the smallest thing in America, people approach a lawyer. Why? Because matters get resolved quickly. For the smallest thing in India, people don't approach lawyers because they are scared of the system, they are scared of the delays, and they don't want to get caught. I mean, the Hindi, there's no word in English, but the word in Hindi is jhanjat. Right? Us jhanjat mein kyun ghusna hai humne? Like, no one wants to get into that mess. So the future of advocacy for India, to answer a question briefly, is we need to embrace digitization. We need to make the system more efficient. It's a collective exercise. No one lawyer or one judge can do it. It's a collective exercise. Once we do it, then I think that the amount of work which we as lawyers will have will go by at least 10 times. And then the lower end work, the repetitive work, can be done by artificial intelligence. And the more intelligent work will be done by us as human beings.
Thank you. Lastly, I am also a subscriber of Libra software, through which you are easing the work of advocates, routine work of advocates, and facilitating them to manage the office on the virtual platform. So as far as this software concept as well as vakilsearch.com is concerned, so can you enlighten us regarding the same?
Sure. So I think one of the requests made by the Nashik Bar Association was that this conversation would be entirely about technology, and we can. But let me just spend a minute or two on answering your question, and then I will be delighted to continue the conversation with you on LinkedIn or email after this right now. So yes, with Vakil Search and with Libra, I think we have been able to make a small, humble beginning in terms of digitization. We have been helping a lot of lawyers with transforming their court, their cases, their files, their documents from a physical to a digital infrastructure. Right now, despite the lockdown, we are working with anywhere between 7 to 10 lawyers a week on complete end-to-end digitization of all their files and pleadings. Once the lockdown is lifted, I think it will only become much faster. Libra, yes, Libra is a software which we are, I'm quite humbled by how much faith and how many subscribers and customers we have. It's going to go into the 6 digits now from the 5 digits. So I'm personally very humbled by the trust and faith which we have received. Once again, I think Libra for your office and digitization, I'll be delighted to talk to you after this, the webinar is over, so that we can maybe focus a little bit now on technology itself and digitization, if that's okay with you, Targit.
Over to you, Nilkant.
Thank you.
Hello. My question, Hrishikesh, to you.
Yes.
To make these artificial intelligence work, we need to change law, we need to change procedure. So do you think a law commission is required to take steps and prepare a report to how to convert the present judiciary into digitalization and plus artificial intelligence, application of artificial intelligence.
Yeah, so Toshtiwalji, I think like you, I think I cannot stress this point enough. But no one entity or one body is going to be enough. I think digitization is a joint effort. It has to start with you and me as lawyers, but it has to eventually go up to the Supreme Court, and the digitization has to go from ground up. Because if Nashik, all of you digitize your files, right? For some time it will be okay. But what about when the matter goes on appeal? Then what are your clients going to do? At that point again, they need to print out all the documents. So Nashik may be a pioneer, and it's a great thing. But like you rightly pointed out, it has to go up all the way to the top. From Nashik to Mumbai and from Mumbai to Delhi, it has to be, law commission can only give guidelines and recommendations. The lawyers and the judges need to take the matters into their own hands and start digitization on a war footing. I would say right now we are at war. And all of us are in this war together, because if we fight this war together, we are not going to defeat COVID. We're not going to come out of it clean. Law commission can only give recommendations, nothing more. It is the law of the judiciary whose responsibility it is to make it happen.
Thank you, Rishikesh. There's one gentleman, advocate friend, Advocate Hitendra from Pune, who is asking, how do we save files with OCR mechanism?
Right. So OCR is basically a tool to read the file. So when you digitize a file, digitize it with optical character recognition enabled. It's called OCR enabled. So once you digitize with OCR enabled, once the file is digitized, you can automatically search and you will get results. So it is like, what example can I give you? It is like a non-stick, it's like non-stick cooking. Right? So it's OCR is basically an enhancement on digitization.
Okay. Thank you. Please continue.
Yeah. So I think this was a summary. I think there were many interesting questions. I'm sure many more have questions, but maybe they're hesitating to ask. So you can just leave a chat and I'll answer your questions now. So any more questions or thoughts, or if you've not understood some things that I've said, please feel free, so I can respond to it.
Okay, we will. As and when questions pop in, I will share them with you.
Sure.
Thanks.
Perfect. Yeah. So I think let me just minimize this now. Yeah. So I think this was a summary. I think there were many interesting questions. So I just want to then spend about 5 to 6 minutes on summarizing what I've spoken about, so that if there are any questions, I'm happy to answer them. But I want to leave you with a few thoughts. So maybe I'll spend 5 to 6 minutes summarizing it, and then if there are any questions on digitization, on our Libra software, on digitization of your office, we can take it offline in a separate email or separate conversation. So the first thing which I want to leave you with is artificial intelligence is not, which is going to come 20 years into the future. Artificial intelligence has already come. It's already there across the world. Countries like Estonia, South Korea, and United States have already started investing money and investing time in artificial intelligence. The problem, if you ask me, and all of us are Indians, so the problem, if you ask me, is that in India, we don't look at the litigant, the client, as a customer of the legal system. We look at the litigant or the client as a beneficiary of the legal system. There is a big difference. It's, when you call the judge your lordship, the judge is granting you orders. The judge is not granting you anything. The judge is a public servant. He is a servant of you and me, right? As citizens of India, we need to shift the focus. We cannot look at the court as this benevolent lordship, which is giving us some. We are the customers. The court is our servant. The court has to deliver justice. So we need to start demanding this justice as citizens of India. We cannot tolerate a system where it takes 22 to 25 years for a matter to go up from the lowest court to the highest court. That is something which is unacceptable. We need to start fighting for something which is a public right as citizens. We are paying taxes because we demand and deserve this as a public right. So countries like United States, South Korea, and Estonia have already taken steps in that direction. We have no time to lose in terms of taking steps in that direction. Every day which we do not take a step in that direction, we are falling further and further behind. If we want to become a superpower, if we want to be a global leader, then we cannot take the lethargic approach. The time now is to fight and fight right here to start moving in that direction. And the benefits to India are going to be tremendous. We are going to be able to cut down the delays. We are going to be able to reduce loss and damage to documents. We are going to make our system disaster-proof. We are going to reduce repetitive work. Most importantly, we are going to be empowering the citizen to actually approach courts for justice. Today, citizens are scared of approaching courts for justice. We need to make citizens empowered and comfortable in approaching courts for justice. That is your and my responsibility as lawyers and as a part of the legal system to make this happen, right? So in our small way at Vakil Search, we are trying to empower lawyers, we are trying to empower clients, but we are just one drop in a massive ocean. The ocean has all of us, you, me, and the judicial system working together. That has to start happening here and now. So how do we get there? To start with, we need to start with digitization of all of our offices. Every shred of paper has to be converted to a digital format. Elimination of paper and filing has to happen quickly. And then as a nation, we can introduce artificial intelligence. Like I said, the technology is already here. The technology is not going to come 10 years later. The technology is here and now. It's already available. It is up to us to implement digitization and implement artificial intelligence. Only then we can make progress. And finally, I think remote presentation. Remote presentation through video conferencing. I'm sure all of you travel to Mumbai on an ongoing basis. Taking a lot of precious time, 4 hours in travel one way, 4 hours in travel back. Spending time away from your families. This has to all go away. So with digitization, sitting in lovely Nashik, you can argue before any court in the land, whether it's in Mumbai or in Delhi or a tribunal sitting in Chennai. So wherever you are, you should be able to argue. I think that's also part of the future. So am I optimistic? Yes. As a very proud Indian, I am extremely optimistic about the future of our country. But we need to take steps in the right direction now. We cannot waste any more time. We have spent enough time, following the system which the British gave to us when they left in 1947. It is time that we as Indians built our own system and took it to the next level. So with that, I want to thank all of you. If any of you have questions on digitization of your office or artificial intelligence or scanning of papers, etc., please reach out to me. If you don't have my email address, then I can drop all of you a short email with my contacts and coordinates. And I look forward to hearing from all of you. So with that, I would like to pause. If there are no further questions, then maybe we can bring the session to a close. Over to you, Nika.
There are a set of questions after you have finished, but like everyone is interested in understanding more about vakilsearch.com as well as Libra, because as lawyers, everyone has a big question mark in their minds as to where do we start. Okay, e-courts and digitization and everything is okay, all good, but where do we as individual lawyers, where do we start? What is the starting point? Now, that is one question that I think you can address right away. And you can take your time to even share more information, like I said, about vakilsearch.com or even Libra. So people, understand, have an in-depth understanding of the systems that are now in place and, what are the options that they can work with.
Okay, excellent. Perfect. So vakilsearch.com was started with a vision. So I had the opportunity when I was after law school to work with Shri Arun Jaitley ji. And when I was working with him in the Supreme Court, and also he also used to appear at that time in the criminal courts in Delhi. And if you go from the criminal court to the Supreme Court, it is like going from one world to another world. Right? It's like virtually like two separate Indias, which you see. And one of the things that struck me very clearly then was that there is no one India, there are multiple Indias. And one part of India can access a lawyer like Shri Arun Jaitley ji, but most of India is unable to. And that's when it struck me that the future will only come with technology transforming the legal system. So vakilsearch.com is an attempt to solve that problem. So what do? We help most of our help goes to small and medium enterprises and individuals. And we help companies and individuals with doing routine legal tax and compliance work. So we help with company incorporation, we help with trademark filing, we help with ROC filing, secretarial filings, accounting, bookkeeping, profession tax, ESI registration, multiple local taxes, compliances, legal filings, etc. are completely taken care of. It's a matter of great pride that today 1 out of every 10 companies, private limited companies in India, is actually incorporated by Vakil Search. So it's a matter of a lot of pride. It's not something which I have personally done. It's a team effort. So the credit goes to my team, but they have been able to build something which is able to help a lot of people, get work done. And one of the most touching moments was two actually. One was once the Kashmir lockdown began to lift. We had a Kashmiri fruit seller. He has an apple orchard and a juicing. He basically makes juice from apple orchards and ships it to the rest of India. So he set up a company and raised funding. So we were able to help him. So a person like him would never have been able to get help from a company secretary to set up a company and scale and get funding. So sitting in our office in Chennai, Bangalore, Bombay, I think it was the Chennai office, we were able to help him set up the company, get funding, protect his brand with a trademark, and expand. So it was amazing that it was a matter of great pride that we were able to help him with that. And yes, last week, a 10-year-old girl in a town outside Chennai has become the youngest person to incorporate a company. In the middle of the lockdown, she has been able to set up a business. She is herself a chef. So this little girl is a chef and she makes chocolate and vanilla pastries and she supplies it. So, looking at her pictures and looking at her, she's an inspiration because at the age of 10, if somebody is able to do all that, then, we have a bright future. So vakilsearch.com's, and today, like I think Neelkant mentioned, we have more than 400,000 people who have used the platform over time. So vakilsearch.com is trying to make legal tax and compliance a completely democratic venture for everybody. Along with Vakil Search, we have a lot of lawyer partners. Like I said, it crossed the 5 digits a long time back. Now we hopefully will go into the 6 digits in terms of number of lawyers who use Libra. Libra is a software which helps you to track all your ongoing cases. We do face challenges in terms of the district court data not being perfect, but to give credit to the legal system in India, the data is coming in much more frequently and much more fluently now. So Libra is a tool by which we extract and track the data across more than 14,000 different courts, tribunals, and platforms, and bring it onto a single mobile app where you can track all your ongoing cases. And recently, we have also started digitization of lawyers' offices, where we help you to convert all of your physical papers into digital files, and with that also search. So a lot of lawyers, especially those on the civil side where they do property work or the criminal side, they have more than 100,000 pages sitting in their office, and it takes anywhere between 30 minutes to 2 hours sometimes to just pull out the right bundle and find what you're looking for. That can be completely eliminated if your paperwork is digitized, because you can simply search for what you want and pull up the file. So we are currently helping lawyers with digitization of their files and putting it onto a secure platform where you can search. Now some questions have come up, so I'll just quickly answer them, Neelkant, and as we go along. So one thing is, can OCR work with Marathi language text? It is complicated. It can, but it is complicated. OCR works best with English language text at this point, and not so perfectly with Marathi or Hindi or Tamil or Kannada or whatever. So right now OCR is more suited to English. Yes, so you're right.
Yes.
Sorry, someone had a question.
I have a long question for you.
Sure, please.
Personally, I remember a time when the courts were. This was sometime like long back when the computers were being introduced in the courts, and people had mixed feelings. With the Corona thing, all of us have got a flavor of the digitized world.
Yeah.
I see there are 3 groups now. We have lawyers who are saying yes, we have lawyers who are saying no, and we have lawyers who are saying can't say or who cannot decide which side to be on. So basically, with this concern in mind, there are three questions that come to my mind. Is why are people saying no? What is the cause of resistance? Because you are seeing things very closely. Second question is, if people are saying yes, why should they say yes to I think you have answered that adequately. And what about the can't says? Whom should they side with?
So one of the things that is holding everybody back is fear. So a lot of the people are, who are saying no because they are not able to understand. And this is completely understandable, right? As lawyers, when we were in law school and studying, digitization or computers was not part of the syllabus. Right? It is almost alien to all of us. So now with WhatsApp and with mobile phones in all of our hands, smartphones, we are much more comfortable with technology. But in terms of the legal practice, we have not really used technology. So it's natural for us to be a little afraid, for us to be a little apprehensive. What is the next step going to be? Are these computers going to replace us as lawyers? So I think the answer is, a flat no. Like I think Targeji or Toshnimaji or Sharaji had mentioned, it's only a cycle. It's only going to make the work more efficient. It's not going to replace anybody. So I think the first thing to understand is we need to know that artificial intelligence, digitization, and things like blockchain is not something to be afraid of. It is the future, whether we like it or not. So I keep mentioning that the population of horses, right, was highest in 1915, after which it has been steadily declining. I think somebody has asked a question. It's all perfect to do work in English, but what about the lower courts? The work is in local languages. So the interesting thing is that now artificial intelligence and blockchain is also available in Hindi. Right? So Hindi, Devanagari script. And when it comes to Hindi, because Marathi, our language and Hindi share a lot of the same script elements, both originating from Sanskrit. So I think it's not going to be challenging for Marathi to also come in, but Hindi already, the technology exists to take it up. So Hindi and English were already there. Marathi, Gujarati, Odia, Konkani, etc. It will take a little more time, but Hindi is already done.
Thank you. One more concern that comes to mind is what about the internet connectivity issues on the ground zero level in India? How will this affect the scenario with e-courts and online appearances and virtual lawyering?
So I think with the smartphone generation, the level of technology which all of us are using right now to communicate with us real time. So you're sitting more than 1,400 kilometers away, and we are able to communicate almost without any problems, right? With the current technology. So that is not a challenge. I think one of the things we should thank, Sunil Bharti Mittal and Mukesh Ambani, among others, is that they've really allowed for very high levels of internet penetration into the country. So as a country, we are ready. So one question which I was asked is, please give me your email ID. So let me just put my email ID down so everybody can. And maybe I'll also send all of you an email if I get your email IDs. I will send all of you a test email, so then you can reply to me on that email ID. So maybe I can connect with Neelkant after the conversation. So with all of your permission, I'll just send you a test email, and then we can continue the conversation there as well.
Yes. Thank you so much for your time. I request the office bearer, Mr. Targe, to express vote of thanks.
Thank you, Neelkanth. Technology has always been the future of this world. Initially, we may have some repulsion, some opposition to any technology as we had in the era of introduction to computer, I think Rajiv Gandhi era. But we have to adopt the technology, we have to cope with it, and that is the future. And today's subject, as referred by Mr. Hrishikesh Datar, digitization and artificial intelligence are also a part and parcel of our future. Mr. Hrishikesh Datar, a young entrepreneur and CEO of WakilSearch.com, has fluently expressed his views and opinions on this subject and enlighten us about the future of judicial system. So we will have to prepare ourselves in advance for the future. And accordingly, I, from the bottom of my heart, express gratitude towards him. I thank to him. I am very thankful to all the participants who have attended this function, and also looking forward you all in the next series of this webinar. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
And Hrishikesh, you are always welcome to Nashik and Sula.
No, I will come. So once the lockdown comes, I keep traveling to Mumbai, but Nashik is very close. So
Yes, Kadipon. Yes.
Naki.
Okay.
So
Thank you.
ओके
thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
तर नाशिकला आल्यावर कॉन्टॅक्ट करा आमच्याशी.
नक्की करीन कॉन्टॅक्ट.
येस 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 खूप आनंद झाला. तुम्ही सांगितलं महाराष्ट्रातून आहात, त्यानंतर पुण्यामधून आहात आणि मराठीत पण आपण बोललात.
मी मराठी बोलण्याचा प्रयत्न केला, पण मी ऍक्च्युली मराठीत अजिबात बोललो नाही.
सुरुवात
इंग्लिश मध्येच बोललो. पण नेक्स्ट टाइम जर ऑपॉर्च्युनिटी मिळाली तर आय स्पीक इन मराठी.
या थँक्यू.
थँक्यू.
Thank you, everybody. I think we can leave now.